Okay, so this video, we're talking about polishing pewter and other soft metals using a buffing machine like this one. Okay, now the first thing we want to make sure, or a couple of things we want to make sure, is that we've got this surface as good as we can possibly get it using abrasive papers. And I talked about using abrasive papers like wet and dry or aluminium oxide paper before. Okay, and the other thing you need to make sure is obviously this material is completely clean. Okay, so I've just washed this with a hand soap, which is quite sort of safe to use and it won't damage the pewter. You can also buy metal cleaners and things, but effectively we're going to use a soft hand soap like this and just make sure it's completely clean and dry before we go over to the buffing machine. Okay, now this is the buffing machine that we've got in place, and what I need to make sure before I'm obviously using this is I've got my PPE on. Okay, so in this case I'm wearing an apron, I've got some goggles as well. This is a bit of an extra precaution. Now the other thing I'm going to do is just get my sleeves and just roll these sleeves up, okay, because obviously I don't want to get anything tangled in the actual mops as the machine's running. And if I were to have long hair, or I mean in my case I've got a tie, I want to make sure this is all tied back so there's nothing that can get caught in the machine as it's running. Okay, so the green button obviously turns the machine on, the red button or the knee stop here stops it. So I'm just going to turn that on, and it will take a little while to get up to speed. Okay, so we want to make sure that the machine gets up to speed before we start to use it. It's running at full speed, and obviously if we just go back to the mops, they should be going in a downward direction like this. This is the safe direction for the machine to run. Okay, so I'm going to start polishing up my material. So I've put my goggles on, and I'm going to use just this compound here. Okay, now this compound is called Jeweler's Rouge. Okay, and this is suitable for soft metals like pewter. Now there's lots of different compounds and things that you can get for using different materials like steels and harder materials, but for soft metals like this, as long as we've used our abrasive papers and got it to a good finish, the Jeweler's Rouge should give us a good finish. And I'm only going to be using a very soft mop. Okay, so this is a soft cotton mop that is just going to literally buff the coating up. Okay, now the tip with using rouge or any sort of polish really is little and often. Okay, so I'm just going to hold the rouge to the corner of the wheel as it's rotating and just apply it, and you'll see the colour change. I've just put a little bit of rouge on there, and then I can now go to my object. Now one last little safety feature, I'm always holding this in a downward position and keeping my thumbs back, holding it very firmly, and I will rotate the item round like this as I touch it on the wheel. So I'm just applying a little bit of pressure, and as you can see very quickly, this is starting to shine the material, and I'm turning it round like this. Now if I find as I'm polishing like this, it starts to look like the wheel needs a bit more polish, then I can go back to my Jeweler's Rouge again, put a little bit more on the corner of the mop, and again I can work that across the mop. Okay, and I'm trying to work across any scratches and things like this until it creates a really nice polished finish. Okay, and if you've got a good surface finish with your pewter initially when you was using the abrasive papers, you will find this will go to a virtual mirror shine, and you should be able to see your face in it when you're finished. Okay, so I'm just going to stop this now. I'm pressing the stop button in, and I will wait by the machine until these wheels have stopped moving. Okay, it's just a final health and safety thing, because although this is moving, you'd think you'd be able to see it, but when they are moving or when they're still, it's very hard to detect movement in the mops. So as a health and safety precaution, I will stay and wait until that mop has completely stopped before I go off and do another job.